Yo, Metal Summers, we're so happy to see you guys again this week, kicking off your weekend in the middle of the week. Exactly how we like to do. We got a whole lot of action going on. We got a whole lot of wrestling and a whole lot of hustle and bustle going on with you guys this week. We're going to have a whole lot of good fun. We got a lot to talk about, and we're going to enjoy doing it. As always, you've stumbled across your island of misfit toys with Empress Bobby Dreyer, with the real Psycho Steve, with our heavenly angel Alamo. And we are really looking forward to jumping it into with our guests. I just want to give a quick shout out to TMS alumni, Argyle Goolsby, and the Blitz Kid Camp for having me out a few days ago in Philadelphia for the last show of their tour, the Escape from the Grave tour. Blitz Kid, I went out with my buddy Tyler, who's also a alumnus of this show as well. If you guys remember the Italian Blood / Emilio Menzi episode that we did, Tyler came out to Philly with me, and we rocked out to some Blitz Kid all night and went live a little bit. For anybody who wasn't familiar with Blitz Kid sound, we put those guys on for a little while. So Goolsby, thank you so much, brother. I love you. Thanks for having me and the guys out. We had a great time, and it was great to catch up with you at the end of the show. You know, go home, get some rest. 37 shows. You killed it, man. 2.5 years. Really proud of you for being able to get this tour finally done with. So get some rest, brother. Appreciate you, man. So we appreciate the Goolsby and Blitz Kid Camp for always being so cordial and courteous to the Metal Summit. We are actually going to kick it to our gents in duo fashion that are joining us today. Frank White, Alan Tecchio. So good to see you, gentlemen. How are you this evening?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Good.
Absolutely. No, it's 100% our pleasure.
Yeah, man.
For sure. We're so super stoked to get to talk to you guys. So why don't you guys clue everybody in? How's 2022 been treating you? We've got, it's been a full year relatively since the blackouts ended, and we're about to put a cap on it in a couple of weeks. So how did 2022 treat you, gentlemen?
After you, Frank.
Can you hear us?
It went pretty good. We ended up, finishing the Jersey Metal book, and for sale now.
Absolutely. Right on.
2022 has been storming so far, honestly. Like, this book comes out literally today. So you guys are the first interview we're doing with the release that's like the real release. But we've been selling the book and selling T-shirts and stuff for a few months now, two months or so, Frank, something like that. And the response has been killer, and I'm super stoked about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So why don't you kind of fill in the Metal Summoners and any fans that are just kind of unfamiliar? What exactly is the concept of the book, and what is Jersey Metal?
You want to take that, Frank?
It's a book about our lives, me and Alan growing up here in Jersey, and we worry on the groups of metal bands in New Jersey back in the early 70s, and it goes right on to 1986, and it's about photos that I've shot that are in the book, along with stories from bands that took like The Who, Legend, Mountain, Slade, Status Quo, Hendrix, and they started covering it in the early 70s, and then that inspired other people to do other stuff with makeup, and they started glam bands, following the New York Dolls, and Twisted Sister got started that way in Harlow, and then leads into photography after learning how to photograph people with my mother, who was in the 40s and 50s. And I started out with photographing Led Zeppelin in 1975, and I in turn would photograph other bands that year in 75 when I was 12 and 13 years old, and that just kept going. Later on, I would meet Alan, the early 80s.
Dude, Frank, are you on your Wi-Fi or just on your, or just on cell? because you're like there's a stagger in your video.
Okay, on my wife's laptop.
On the Wi-Fi.
I guess, yeah. I mean, she hooked it up.
Okay.
I was on the cell phone a little while ago.
Make sure you're on the Wi-Fi and not the cellular, because there's a definite delay and it's slowing you up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm doing the best I can here, guys.
No worries.
No worries.
It's all good. So, Alan, why don't you jump in a little bit, brother, and talk a little bit about like the book and Jersey Metal from your perspective.
So Frank invited me to do this book. I've known Frank for many, many, many years. Obviously, he was a big photographer before I even met him. And then we were super stoked when I was in a band called Prophecy back in, 85, 84 or something like that, 83, long time ago. And my drummer was like, Frank White's going to shoot our photos, like our still photos where we pose and like, we're not live on stage. So the first shot he did of a band was thankfully my band Prophecy. And that's kind of how I met Frank. And then a few years later, I met him in California randomly. I was on vacation with my buddy Mike Quindazzi, and we ran into each other at Universal Studios and went to Tijuana together, and all this stuff is in the book. And then later, of course, I would see Frank at every single show I either attended or played, and he shot, you name a band, he's probably shot them. And he came to me with an idea to do a book after I edited his Dio book, and was like, let's do this thing called Jersey Metal. And I'm like, well, what's it going to be? And it was a big bear, to be honest with you. It was 69 to today. We started as one book initially and realized quickly that it can't be in one book. It'd be like a 2,000-page book. What are we going to charge for that book? To make our money back. As it is right now, the current book we have literally costs us about $50 to make. Who was that? That was very metal.
Seriously.
And
so ringtone.
Yeah, so we're selling for $75. It's a soft cover book, but it's the hardest soft cover we could get. And as Chuchi can tell you right here, it's heavy. Like when you pick it up, it's literally heavy. Not just the music and the content in it, but thanks, dude. It's very heavy to pick up. So we're proud of it. We're stoked about it. We do need to make some adjustments to it. So the first edition that we have now is absolutely limited, and you'll only be able to buy this for the first, like 1,000 copies or something. And then it'll be gone because we have to redo the book right now, which we can get into that reasoning if you want.
Sure. No, absolutely. Because people will just kind of be curious, and it also kind of gets people kind of interested about the idea of, like, this first edition is going to be different. So yeah, if you want to discuss the reasoning behind why the second edition will be different, we'd love to hear it.
100%. So I used to work for the Aquarian magazine in New Jersey. They were a pretty big magazine from the 60s, and they did all kinds of music coverage. I went to them with Frank, and we asked if we can get access to the archives to put like ads, not content for editorial, just ads to timeline the book. And they were like totally cool. They let us into their archives for many days and many hours. And we procured all that stuff and kind of timelined the book with that, which was huge. And they never asked us for anything. And to our fault, we never asked for anything in return. We didn't put anything in writing. It was a handshake thing because I worked for these guys for like 4 or 5 years back in the day. And I'm talking like 25 something years ago, long time ago. And then when the book came out and all the hype started happening and everything started blowing up and people are buying T-shirts like mad, they sent us an email. Well, they sent Frank an email, not me, which is interesting, and said you can't use any of our content anymore. So I'm currently redesigning the entire book without any Aquarian ads or any Aquarian mention.
Wow.
And we completely like thank them in the last pages of the book in a big, big way because they helped us out a lot. And I thought it was all good, but you just can't, I guess you just can't trust people, but it's all good. And I have nothing bad to say about them at all because Mark Skirman, who has the Weird New Jersey franchise, is a great, great dude. And he's one of those owners. And he's curiously, he's not on the email for the cease and desist, but I love Mark. And I'm all good with Diane and Chris as well. And they've actually increased the value of this first edition as a result, because you'll never be able to buy it again. And I gotta go through the rigmarole of redoing the entire book, making a lot of the photos bigger and making it actually a cooler book, to be honest with you. But the first edition, I mean, it's running out and it's selling like crazy. So when it's gone, it's gone. And we can never, ever print another edition like that. So
that's awesome. That's such a headache, but that's a really cool story. My follow-up question to you guys is, when you put out the second edition of the book, is the cease and desist letter going to be the last page of that book?
No, I don't want to mess with anybody, brother. It's all about good karma. It's all about namaste.
Of course.
Namaste, like peace and love to everyone. We're on this planet for a fucking blink. You know what I mean? Nobody's here forever.
No,
like,
of course.
I want to be cool with everyone. I want it to be all good. It's not a fight. It's not whatever. I didn't expect this coming my way, or Frank, I'm sure didn't expect it coming his way, but it came our way, and that's totally cool. And there's a really dark part of my mind that expected this, but I didn't, because I just thought people would be cool. And it's actually okay, because ultimately they are cool. They allowed us access to the archives and then denied it. And now they made our value of the first edition like way more than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
And already selling really well. And it comes out today. Like this is the first interview we're doing for the book. So from here, you know, I understand how this whole internet connectivity expands things. And it's already started to expand way beyond what I thought it would. And that's awesome. We'll blow through the first edition and then we'll go to the next one.
Absolutely, 100%. Psycho Steve, you beloved mensch, why don't we kick it over to you, sir?
All right, so a couple questions I have. First of all, if and when I order the book, will you guys sign it?
Of course.
Frank?
There's a delay on Frank.
Just nod.
No, it's just it's a digital delay.
Signing the book for you.
Of course he'll sign it.
Okay. So, all right.
Of course.
So, as me being a Jersey boy growing up, I saw Frank shoot, and Alan, I've seen you perform many times. From the Birchill to, let's see, one of my fondest memories seeing you at was Connections. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw you at Mother's.
Yep.
And today's a great day because we lost a great person today as well on today's date. Dimebag Darrell was taken from us today.
I didn't realize that was today. Oh my God, you're right.
Oh, I love the fact that we're doing the show and it's about metal.
Yeah.
I know he was a big supporter of Jersey metal. I know, like I said, I was listening to Hades on the way to go see my parents today. So just giving you a heads up.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Now, my question for Frank first is, who was the first artist that you shot and you got published, I guess, produced or published? Published, right?
Published.
Yeah.
Well, the first artist I ever photographed was Led Zeppelin in 1975. The first photo published is when I did a live show with Greg Lake and Gary Moore at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, and that ended up in a Secaucus, New Jersey local newspaper in 1980. And
Was that
then the following year, my first magazine photo of Jorma Kaukonen from Hot Tuna in Relics magazine in December of '82.
Very cool.
Wow. Okay. And then my question for you, Al, any chance of, because all you guys are still with us, of Hades, to play a one-off show or anything like that?
No.
Do you guys still talk?
It's a long story, dude, Steve. I'll tell you honestly, like, I'm being fully forthcoming.
Yeah.
again, I have no hatred toward anyone. It's all good.
Right.
But there was a gig that we did in 2010 in Germany, which I had to really like hammer my guitar player to do because he didn't want to do it. And he agreed to do it. And he had a great time. And then he booked a gig for the following year at another smaller festival in Germany and deliberately waited like 2 months before the gig to cancel it and make me be put on the hot seat. And there's a lot of other negative stuff that guy's done to me throughout my career sorry, my light is motion sensor light.
Okay.
To make it like not really worth being friends. You know what I mean? Like no animosity, no negative energy. It's all good. And that guy has a lot of quotes in this book because he's an integral part of the metal scene. And I would not deny anybody that. Like they deserve it because they were there and they were before me. And it's all cool. But I'm too old, brother, to like want to do music with people that I don't really want to be in a room with. Like I want to be like loving everybody and enjoy what I'm doing. I'm not going to do it for money. I'm not going to do it for any reason that is just ambiguous and not real. Like I want to do it because I love doing it. There's no money in music for me.
Not anymore.
At this stage of the game. But that doesn't make you kill your love of music. You know what I mean?
No.
This guy will tell you. You got to love music and you got to freaking embrace it and be willing to not really give a fuck what you get from it, except maybe some adoration from fans, whatever. And I love all the people that have given a crap about all the stuff I've done over the years. It's flattering. It's honestly, it's humbling. But I'm just too old to do it with people that are not people I want to hang out with. You know? So no. And if they do it without me, I could care less. That would be great. I would totally be cool with that. Like, it's not like you can't do it without me because I was the singer in the band, whatever. Like, do whatever you want, brother. It's all good.
Nice. Now, do you guys own the rights to? Because I heard from several photographer friends I know that you sometimes when you publicize a picture, you don't own it anymore. It's owned by the publication. You also have to copyright it and everything. So how did you, or the band owns it, or the management group? Because like we interviewed Penelope Spheeris from Decline of Western Civilization, and it really inspired me. I wanted to do a movie like that, but called The Decline of the Eastern Civilization, and bring the bands of here. Because look how many bands came over here, such as your band, and you got Twisted, you got Kiss, you got New York Dolls, Ramones, you know, the Misfits, all these bands. And I was going to go some rock, some metal, some glam, but you know, you have to go dig deep to get permission to even play their music besides photographs. So how long did it take to get this book out? Because even though Frank shot it, do you own it?
That's a Frank question for sure. Frank?
Yes. The photographs. All those bands I never had a contact with. So, and a lot of them, you know, this was like back when I was in. So obviously I didn't have any track until a year later.
Dude, you're totally chopping
but
up.
I own to all my photographs, and so I.
We lose him?
No.
I'm telling his wife right now, you have to get Frank on the Wi-Fi.
Or plug him
I apologize,
into the
guys.
router.
Nah, it's all good. Steve, let's circle back around in just a second to that question because that's a really good one, and I think we have a lot to hear when it comes to that. Bobby, as somebody who's really getting into photography right now and really putting your mark on things, let's bring you in on this conversation because you're really, with your partnership with Mark, you're really starting to really rock out with some high-profile bands.
Yeah,
and you spoke off the air about getting to the upcoming Pantera show.
And I gotta say, I'll give kudos. Look, I did an internship with Mark Weiss, and it really parlayed into a lot of things. And I got to give him thank you. I had the opportunity to shoot Aerosmith at their 50th anniversary at Fenway Park. I just got off the Kiss cruise. Bruce Kulick is now using, and you brought that up, Steve, about photos. So I talked to Bruce's manager. They're using my photos on the Vegas Strip right now. And as Frank can mention, there's a lot of metadata in photos now. So we still are the creator of the photo. Now, if somebody brings us on and contracts us, they can use the photos. They have all
once
right.
we photograph it, we copyright it.
Yes, but we still own the photograph. It's our creation, no matter what.
But you can't sell it, right?
No, well, you can sell it. They have whatever right they want, but they can never deny that you're the creator of that photo.
Interesting. Because it's the same thing if you
It's so
borrow
vague.
music from somebody, don't you have to give them credit or whatever? So I wasn't sure if it was the same thing in photography.
Oh, it is. It very much is. And Frank can probably, vouch for that. Look, I just had an opportunity. Somebody said, look, one of my photos I took of somebody, and I got a little annoyed about it, is being used now in a very large drum promotion with a very large company, but I didn't get any credit. I don't mind that it's being used. I gave them the photo, but come on, dude.
You should be paid,
I
brother.
took the photo.
You should be paid.
Absolutely.
Not even paid, just acknowledged. And Frank will tell you that sometimes the acknowledgement is worth more than the money.
Yeah, you should definitely be acknowledged, but you should be paid. Come on.
Yeah.
That's
Please.
your profession.
Ludwig.
Your art.
No, I didn't say
I'm just saying, as an artist, and I'm not a photographer, but real is real and unreal is unreal.
But I understand. Look, Frank, there's a lot of people out there, it's Frank, it's Halfin, it's everybody, Zoloff, who just did the Eddie book, everybody. Look, you break your ass doing this shit.
Yeah.
That's why you get compensated for it.
Exactly.
And there's these people out there that I see. For example, as you guys know, one of my nearest and dearest friends is Lisa Kuttner-Piernell. She's been shooting for a long time, and there's people out there now that are paying to shoot the artist versus the artist paying the photographer. And that's taking jobs away from, and she's very, very good. And then these people are like half-assed, and they're okay with using half-assed photography. And because they're getting paid for it, because they're not getting paid enough to perform, which is sad. Same thing with my fiance. She's a costume designer by trade. These people used to have people pay the Broadway production a shit ton of money because they came from trust funds to let their kid do the costumes, and they came out half-assed while Jessa did it full well and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
here's my question to Frank. Frank, when you were starting out, look, you shot Zeppelin, and there were a lot of people in that era who did it. How did you break forth and, create your own stuff? It's like being a guitar player. Look, there's only one Randy Rhoads. There's only one Eddie Van Halen. Being a photographer, look, I know people like, Mapplethorpe. There's a lot of people who shot, Patti Smith. And how did you make your mark?
Well, just by going to the show, month after year, until I had a collection where I start selling, and I'm selling a store in Bergenfield, New Jersey, called Collector's World, and I was selling photos and buttons. And then after that, I was noticed in the store by one of the other guys that worked in the store, he was the one that worked for the Sea Caucus newspaper, Jerry Rubino, who's also on radio, and he got the photo from me that he would like to use for the newspaper article, and went with it, and that was my first published photo. And then a year later, I contacted a few magazines, and Relics was one of them, and they published my first photo in a major publication of Jorma Kaukonen from Hot Tuna.
Oh.
And then from there, I started calling other publications like Circus and Cream and Hit Parader and Kerrang and so on. And then from there, I started to show my work, and all of them seemed to like it. And I started to sell photos to all these magazines. Guitar World was another one, Kick-Ass Monthly, Rock Scene, Concert Shots, Rock World. There was a whole bunch of them back then, and I tried to supply all of them, which I pretty much did. I mean, it took me a little while to get into Rolling Stone and Spin, but I ended up getting into those too. And I got into some other magazines too later on. So it was just a constant, always wanting to go to shows.
I just asked Frank's wife to get better light on
that. So after people started to see my photos in zine.
Yes.
Is
that better?
That's good.
I think it's the Wi-Fi.
Get in front of him. Get him in front of him.
Honey, no problem.
All right, relax.
It's the connection. So after seeing my photo in the mag,
Does he look better?
He looks
Get
great.
in front of him.
after seeing my for a few years,
Angel's like, are
Like
you
the
serious?
to show them my work, and I did, and I started.
No, for sure.
So I got one real quick question. What was that photo that you shot? Look, I've gotten it now where I get amazed at some of the shit I do and just go, I can't believe I shot that. What is that photo you shot that you just went, wow, I fucking took that?
You have one, Frank?
There's a lot of them like that.
There
Yeah,
are.
but what
my
is
archive.
that
I
shot
mean,
that even makes
yeah,
your wife
God.
jealous? It's the money shot.
All
that
of
one
those
that you just go.
Makes my wife.
All of those Zeppelin shots to me are ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Say there,
He's 12 years old, dude. He's a little kid. Badass shots.
I just, took it upon myself to do this on my own, and I just learned how to do it through the course of time and going to shows every couple weeks back then, until I was able to get enough together to show magazines and record companies, and then everyone started using my photos for different reasons, whether it be like an album, a cassette. Book companies were using my photos now. They were contacting me all the time, and I was asked by bands to go on the road with them. So I started doing that, and while I was shooting other, major concerts and even small shows, a variety of music, heavy metal. I was photographing Southern rock, hardcore, punk, new wave, country regionally, reggae, whatever was happening that I felt, I needed to be there to photograph, I ended up getting into.
Well, Frank, I got to thank you because it's people like yourself and Mark Weiss and everybody who really just went out, got their camera. It wasn't, there was no rule books, and you guys just did your shit, snuck the cameras in, did this, sold your photos, and I love
Yeah.
it. And I love that you're inspiring somebody like me, like a 58-year-old guy,
Yeah.
to go out and kick ass and keep doing it.
You look great for 58, Bri. 58, fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of Botox.
No. It's the music. The music keeps you young.
It does. Look, these three guys keep me fucking alive, especially the vampire in the middle.
Dude, the Jedi Jew. I love this. My wife is Jewish. I'm not in the tribe, but I'm fucking totally down, bro.
But I love it. Frank, thank you so much. It's great to hear that it's not all about playing a guitar. And sometimes it's about picking up a camera and going, you guys captured the moment of the music that we could hear through the pictures. And that's my big inspiration there. I want to photograph where people go, fuck, I can hear the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and this
and I just bought my book. So
there was
sign my book. I just ordered my copy from you guys.
Dude, you want us to sign it? You got to make a note in that.
I did.
Okay. And yes, that will be done.
Hell yeah, for sure. Angel, flutter down from heaven, dude. It's about time that we hear from you and the Metal Summoners.
I cannot wait to ask this question from Brian.
Oh boy.
What band or musician had you the closest to beating them senseless with your camera? You don't have to name the band, but give the scenario.
I feel like that's got to be my bud Brian, who's a Danzig. I feel like that's probably my buddy Brian, who's a Danzig guy. So I feel like that's got to be his little thing.
You don't have to name the name of the band, but there's been a band that just been really difficult?
Oh, okay. Well, Frank, that's probably all you.
You don't have to say the name of the band.
I'd rather not say.
What?
No, I'd rather not say.
Just do a genre.
Nah, there's certain things like when it comes to photographing music, everything is cool. There are certain people that have different ways of thinking about how they want to be photographed and who they want to have photographing them. And sometimes they feel that certain people should go out and photograph them, and then later on, it becomes some kind of difficult problem for whatever reason. And that's really all I can say about that. It's a tough situation, especially because I'm still out there today photographing.
Hey,
so
look, Frank, is there anybody who didn't like to be touched? Let's just put it that way.
Like being touched?
Oh yeah.
What?
Well, we all know as photographers, you got to tell people how to move, and sometimes.
Well, I'm to tell these people directions, and pretty much they follow it. I mean, if someone doesn't, I'll kind of say, hey, what's the problem? And if we can resolve it and move on, great. If not, then maybe the band members could talk to that band member and say, hey, you know what? We're here with this guy. We got to get this job done. Let's do it and get it over with and move on. So I try to keep everything cool and funny, and hopefully everything works out. And it usually does.
Has anybody hit you?
With the bands I photo, huh?
Frank, has anybody hit you?
I don't think so.
Two people were talking.
Did anybody hit you?
Say that again?
Anybody hit you?
Hit you?
Has it hit me?
Yeah.
No, not that I can remember.
Can I?
I'd be not hit by fans, you know, because they flew into me from, you know, being in the photo pit, but I've never had a fan member.
Can I chime in on this?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, dude.
All I want to say is every day you meet
You
an
know,
artist.
that's just not my thing, you know. I mean, they were upset, but you know, that's as far as it got.
That's all
Okay,
good.
weirdest body part you photographed?
I will say that I've interviewed many artists, and I interviewed Jeff Tate twice, and I'm a huge Jeff Tate fan, right? So
Yeah,
huge.
me
Queensryche
too.
fan.
Me three.
And the first time I interviewed him, I mean, it was like glorious. He was so cool. We talked about riding motorcycles, and then I went on a ride with him from Legends Harley, which doesn't exist anymore, out in Ledgewood, New Jersey, to the Hard Rock in New York City, and they had a private concert for all the people that were Harley Davidson riders and Buell riders, because the Queensryche guys were somehow affiliated with Buell, which was Eric Buell's company that used Harley Davidson engines rather, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
He has
no
his own-
more. They're done.
Right. But no, Buell has his own thing going on, but it's not with Harley. But back then, they were totally ingrained. And Eric Buell actually played blues guitar at the freaking Harley dealership before we all left for a police escorted ride into New York City to go see Queensryche in a private concert at the Hard Rock. And my buddy at the time, John Pasquale, ran the Hard Rock. All the fucking Harleys that were really sick outside, they all got stolen by the Hells Angels or some ambiguous group that pulled up and stole all the bikes. But I ride a Yamaha, so my bike was totally there when I got out, and I rode home. But that night, it was so cool, and the Queensryche guys were so great. And Jack Frost was there, who I played with in Seven Witches, and he's friends with all the Queensryche dudes. We were backstage, like doing stuff I can't really talk about right now on the air, but it was fun and awesome. And we had a great time. Fast forward to Jeff Tate's solo record. I interview him for that, and completely different person. So I give a lot of berth. I give a wide berth to artists because sometimes you get them on the wrong day, and it's just not a legit thing on that day. And I've tried to always be good in my interviews that I've done. Not that anybody wants to interview me now, aside from tonight. But you know what I'm saying? Like, as an artist, that shit's far and few between. But at the time, you know, interviewing this guy was like a big deal for me. And he was such a jerk. I mean, he was like trying to like see if I really listened to his solo record and stuff. It was so weird. And I went and saw him at Nokia. And they had reinvented these Queensryche songs in his new band format. And I thought it was super cool. But he wanted to do it. It was all about like F Queensryche. It's all about me and my solo thing. And it was just a different person. So I'm not slamming Jeff Tate. I'm just saying that when you interview an artist, it's really subjective to the timeline and the place that you're in at the present moment because it changes, dude. And it sometimes changes day to day.
Was that the Kings and Thieves record that came out around the time he did Frequency Unknown with like his version of Queensryche?
All I know is they redid the Killing Words and a few things. It was the first Jeff Tate solo record, so whatever that was.
Oh, the very first one in like the early. Oh, the one in the early '90s.
Yes.
Not.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes. Yeah.
He put out his second solo album. He put out his second solo album right about the time of the Ugly Split, because he put out the only Queensryche album. Yeah, because he was able to. He put out an album called Frequency Unknown as Queensryche, you know, before it became Jeff Tate and Queensryche.
Oh yeah. When that whole
he was
split
still able to
happened,
use
like,
the name, and he put out the Frequency Unknown album, which I love, because if you look at the album cover, it's a fist with the middle has a Queensryche, their spearhead logo, but then it's got the initials FU on a set of rings.
But isn't that douchey though? Seriously, you got to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, killer. I'll be honest. The singer that replaced him, that dude, is
Todd's
ridiculous.
amazing.
We love Todd.
We've had him on the show.
That guy is like stupid good.
And
I wanted that gig, but that guy's better than me. You know what I mean? Like,
and I love me
that
some
dude is great.
Jeff Tate. Like, you know, Jeff's always been square to me. But I know what you, but I definitely know what you mean. Because sometimes it's like, wait, what is going on right now? Like, who is this cat that I'm like trying to talk to?
That's exactly the feeling I had. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. I was like, what's going on right now? Like, this is shitty for no
Well,
reason.
everybody through the years that I've interviewed anybody or been on tour with or seen in concert, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
Agreed. I totally agree with that, brother.
So it's, you guys have to understand something. They're under so much pressure and everything like that. They can't always be happy, joy. They have to, sometimes, they might be sick and they might
You know what,
be.
Steve? You know what I'm going to contribute to that right now is, yeah, you're right when it comes to performing.
Right.
You're wrong when it comes to being a human being.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen Halford. I'm the biggest Halford fan ever, and I root for him so badly. I love Rob Halford. He's like my freaking hero. But I've seen him really suck live on stage, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for him. But as a human being, and I've interviewed him a few times, he's always been solid and cool and normal and awesome. So I agree with you on the performance side, but I disagree on the human side because you're a person, dude. Like, again, you're not
Hey,
here
Alan. So throwing it a little curveball here with Rob, and he's been great, and he and I talked on subjects so left on a lot of things, and I made him blush more than Angel. That's all I'm going to say. When I could do that to the metal god, I sat there and just pissed myself.
Love it.
But that's how Rob is. He was just like, he didn't care. He was like, I didn't want to hear about X, Y, and Z. And he goes, you're asking me about what? And I'm going, yeah, that. And he goes, why? Because I want to know. And he was like, really? And I'm going,
What'd you ask him?
Well, he's got a Prince Albert. I asked him if he chipped anybody's tooth.
That's way beyond what I did, dude.
Why?
No. I love that question, but I
who was going to ask him that? Rolling Stone?
Do you know? I know. I interviewed him for the Halford record.
You broke my tooth with a cock ring.
I love it.
Talk about breaking the wall.
Him. The Halford record had just come out, so he had already done the 2 thing with Trent Reznor and all that stuff. And I'm like, so you're out of the closet now. It's all good. And I'm in his hotel lobby, by the way, in New York City doing this interview. And I'm like, I got to ask you, bro. I'm a huge fan. I'm like, but the lyrics on like Sin After Sin, you talk about Fire Island and like all this like subtle gay stuff. Was that your way of like coming out without coming out? And he's like, well, that's a really great question, Alan. And he answered it. He goes, I don't know that I was thinking that, but probably. You know what I mean? Like, it was really like a subliminal thing where he didn't want to come out with it, but he was that guy. You know what I mean?
So,
and he was trying to
Alan, in his book that just came out, which I have right here, which is the best one, the new one.
The comeback.
For the record,
a new one, like our book's going to be a new one.
The new bibliography, which Rob
I have not
signed.
read that.
Oh, it's great. It's on thing. So Rob signed it for me. And there's a really cool thing in here. So he talks about Todd Latore's in the book, which is great. Todd just talked about. So when he played at Homedale, PNC, I threw a matchbook cover up. And he referenced something in there. And he goes, oh, there was an artist, somebody in the front row who said something. Thank you for being an idol that, a representative of somebody. And I knew that I threw it up and said, look, I'm glad you're representing somebody like myself in the metal community who still loves metal and can be themselves. So I love this guy for a lot of reasons.
Dude, wait, so you're gay?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm off this fucking interview right now.
Well, why? Well, I do have a pink
Love it.
guitar.
Dude, bro.
And a
We're
Prince
all
Albert.
fucking human beings, brother. We're all fucking humans.
You know,
Doesn't
look,
matter how
hey,
you
my
identify.
other half wrote, and these guys know, look, my other half wrote the Americans with Disability Act. So, you know, fuck you. If you have, you know.
Is your other half cute? Is he cute?
Yeah, and he's old and, you know, and he knows how to break the law.
Dude. Dude, so I got to tell you this story then. I got to finish this full circle.
Did you
So
chip his tooth, Bobby?
Dude, what's that?
Well, I chipped his leg. I fucking had to take him to fucking urgent care tonight.
With your Prince Albert?
Well, no. Well, I
Boom!
wish.
Right back at you, brother.
I'm Hungarian. I'm not that big.
But the Prince Albert's the balls, right? It's not the dick.
Yeah, it's the little, you know, thing.
Oh, it's on the tip of the dick?
It's the head of the dick,
Get
Alan.
right on
What's
the
the one
thing,
on the
right
ball?
in the, you know.
No.
What's the one on the balls?
No, that's the Prince Albert goes right in the head, right in the.
Ah! So painful. It sounds so painful. But
Well,
there's a
that's why I
thing on
did the
balls-
song Painkiller.
ball sack
You
thing.
really need, you know.
You gotta school me right now, bro. What's the ball sack thing?
What?
There's a ball sack thing where you clip into it with a ring.
Oh, a cock ring. You want me to get mine?
No, not a cock ring. It's not on the cock. It's on the
I gotta
balls.
dress up for this show now.
You might have to, brother. You might have to.
Great. Now I gotta be Freddie Mercury of goddamn Metal Summit.
This interview's going. I love where this interview's going. I so love this. Oh my
The
god.
funny thing is Angel already knows that this is coming back to him too.
Angel, you know it's next to you.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say for the record though, because we do have to actually get back on track. So I am going to bring Angel back in. But I will tell you, Alan, I fucking love that 2 record from Halford and John 5.
I do too.
Oh,
That
so
album
I'm a pig.
Dude, that
Oh my
album
God,
is
what a
fucking
great song.
bulletproof, man. Any kind of like just industrial goth metal, I'm gonna be all over it. That album is fucking bulletproof, dude. I love that record.
And I'll be honest, Halford's voice.
With Halford,
Halford's
but not-
voice.
but don't forget who Halford's played with. With two, he had Fight.
Angel, you okay?
He had Fight with Satchel from Steel Panther. He had 2 with fucking John 5. I mean,
Pat
dude,
Blackman. That
Yep.
played Damage
John
Plan.
5 was in 2?
from Damage Plan.
Pat Blackman played in, and then he also
No, but
had
I didn't
Metal
know
Mike,
John 5 was
Jersey
in
Boy.
2.
Yep, and he had Metal Mike before
I know
before
Metal
Mike
Mike
started
was
playing
in-
a lot with
Yeah,
Sebastian.
of course. Of course. Frank and I love Metal Mike. We're tight with Metal Mike.
Yeah, great guy.
No, 100% for sure. Angel, let's kick it back over to you, buddy. We got to get a little bit back on track here.
A little bit.
So
But just a little.
some more fan questions. How long have you been a photographer for, Frank?
For 47 years.
47, bro. 47.
And, have you photographed any Canadian artists?
Any
Triumph?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I photographed Triumph, Rush, Lee Allen,
Wow.
you know, bands like that.
And
Voivod.
for-
You know. So, you know, Anvil.
Nice.
We love Anvil.
So,
And a normal
Yeah.
question from Brian. How big are your personal magazine and book collections?
That's a little private.
He said,
Oh!
he said a normal question from
There he
Brian.
is.
Wait a second. Look who's coming in.
I love it.
See?
What's going on
Wait,
here?
I'm out
Well-
of focus. Yeah. Here we go.
This is my
Love
other
you,
half,
brother.
Alan. And
Hi,
Frank.
Tone.
That's
How are
Tony. So, photographers,
Yeah.
you know, We were just talking about, they were asking how big my lens was.
I wondered too, by the way.
Well, we got to go to the dark room then.
We were just talking about Bobby chipping teeth.
Yeah, the macro lens.
Let's
See you guys.
finish his story, but then I got to finish the Halpern story. Finish,
Yeah.
Frank. Tell your story, Frank.
Sorry, Frank. I apologize.
And here I was asking a normal question from Brian that just went right. That happens.
It all goes sideways, bro, all day long.
Oh yeah, yes they do. So he was, how big are your personal magazine and book collections?
Huge. I would go.
The guy's got file cabinets in his office that extend forever. For real.
Nice.
Frank, you there?
The
I don't know,
leg.
he's got a nice smile.
Yeah.
Though.
He looks great.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's all you, Frank.
You asked me a question. How
many magazines?
So
and articles?
just ask me the question again, please.
No, about your book collection. How big is your book collection?
That I photos in.
Yeah.
Over 150.
Nice.
Wow.
Starting from like the mid 80s to now, including a few books that I'm working on right now.
Frank, is there anybody you really would love to interview or shoot? Do a photo of, or do a session with?
Well, photograph. I pretty much photographed. I would say over 3 of the bands that would be out there. Some that are no longer around, so I can't do anything about that. But I would say I'm pretty comfortable with all the bands that I've photographed so far. There's a few that, from back in the day that I really want to get. There's always some that, if they spark my interest, or if I have it, I'd go out and photograph them if I can, get to it pretty easily. So I just came along at a good time when all the major bands that are a lot of teams were around, and now unfortunately most of them are not anymore.
Well, with that, let me ask you: is there anybody you regret not shooting?
Passing away, and so I was glad that I was able to get there and photograph them when I did. Huh?
One more time.
What'd you say?
Is there anybody you regret not shooting that you missed through the decades?
Let's see.
That you missed.
I pretty much caught most of them, man. I don't have about. There were some bands that obviously maybe didn't tour over here, like for instance, Slip was a band that I would love to have photographed, but they came around like in the early '70s, and by the time I started photographing, they weren't touring that much anymore over here. So I missed photographing Slade. Status Quo I wanted to photograph earlier on, but I didn't get a chance to photograph them until like way late. They started playing clubs over here in New Jersey, which was, in the early 2000s. There were certain bands that died or, just broke up before I had to photograph them, like the band Free. Jimi Hendrix, I would have loved to have photographed, but he died too early. Same thing with Janis Joplin, and a bunch of other ones, that just didn't make it before the Doors, and I'd love to photograph them too. But, everybody photographed because they were able to tour year after year, and I was able to catch them whenever I could. So you'll see a good part of them in these 3 books that we're putting out.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I think everybody else is. So we'll really push that. And thank you for doing it. And Frank, I got to say one thing: you fucking look great. We don't know your age, but we don't even know how old you are, but you look amazing for your age.
Are you hitting on Frank right now? That's fucked up.
Hey, shut up! I got to close that door. Tell me to get all pissed off.
I gotta tell you my Rob Halford story.
Nobody.
Shut up.
Frank didn't chip my tooth.
You're supposed to. Al looks good too, meathead.
Well, Al looks great. He's got the flavor saver right here.
I know.
Yes, I do, brother. All day long, kid. All day long.
You're supposed to say Colonel Sanders called and wants his look back.
Wait, what, Steve? What, Steve?
I said Colonel Sanders called and wants his look back.
I own that shit now. Fuck Sanders. No, seriously. I interviewed this guy. I am the biggest Rob Halford fan ever. And I love that he finally came out because, I know that people, I'm going to be honest, including my dad, never came out. And had he come out, I wouldn't be here now. So I'm kind of glad he didn't come out because I'm here now. But
your dad didn't come out?
No.
I told him to earlier. No, I'm sorry.
No, but he was born in 28, bro. It was a whole different dynamic. That whole generation was a very different thing.
Dude, do the math.
I know.
I've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. Well, and
he might even be totally on your team. He might just be by, or he might have been by because he passed in September. But the bottom line is, thank God I'm fucking here as a result of whatever it was. I meet Rob Halford and I interview him. A great interview. I'm like, Rob, I'm a huge fan. Can I get a selfie with you? And that wasn't even selfies back then. It was just a picture with him. So we take a picture on my little freaking flip phone. He goes, would you do me a favor? I'm like, absolutely, Rob, whatever you want. He's like, would you send me that photo? I'm like, absolutely. He gives me his email address. I send it to him. I'm like, this is the highlight of my life. I love this guy so much. He is the inspiration for me. Him and Robert Plant, honestly, were the 2 main dudes. And then Dickinson a little bit later. He emails me back immediately, which was a little strange. It's Rob Halford. You know what I mean? He immediately writes me back. He goes, we make an awfully cute couple, don't you think? And I'm like, I love this guy. I don't know how to respond. Because I'm not into dick. And I love people that are into dick. Some of my best friends are gay. It doesn't fucking matter about that shit. But this is my hero. And now I don't want to offend him. You know what I mean? I don't want to be yeah, I'm not into you anymore. Because I'm still totally into him. So I'm like, Rob, I just don't really go that way, whatever. And he totally never responded after that. But it was a great story. And I will remember that to the day I fucking died.
Well, Alan, before we get back into it, and I'm not pushing this book, but it's on Audible. It's on Audible, and I'm telling you, his Confessions book is amazing, but this one will blow your mind. And the shit he says in here about Todd and everybody else, but Rob, I'm telling you, the way this book is wrote, it is written. Whatever. Look, I'm not a fucking English major. I'm a musician and a photographer.
That's my fucking dude, bro. So wait, that's better than the Confessions book? That's better than
here's my Christmas album. I'm going to shamelessly promote it.
I can't see it. It's too tight in the camera.
No, Alan, here's the deal, though, dude. I get where you're coming from, dude, and we got so much love and stuff, but here's the deal, dude. That was fucking Rob Halford, dude. I think that might have been worth chipping your tooth over.
I would say,
don't think I didn't fucking consider it because my band members were all like, "What are you doing?"
Here's my Christmas album.
Pull it back. Fro
Oh,
You
it's German
way too much
for
glare, bro.
it's Merry Christmas shitterful. Wait here. Wait, where's so that's big, you know. Look, I
Alan, you should
download
have taken
cards
one
too.
of the team.
But the whole thing is like, look, it's Live and Let Live. Freddie's book, everything. Frank will tell you, you know, you don't go out here. And Frank's been in the game with, look, he knows who Robert Mapplethorpe is, who shot Patti Smith and everything else. You know,
Everybody knows me.
I love Mapplethorpe. He was one of my heroes, you know, and the shit he did, you know, it was, these were the people who excited me. You know, I love what Frank does. I love what, like I said, Mark, everybody, you guys have taken a challenge doing this shit, but you never exploited anybody, which has been very, you know, interesting on this. You guys could have ruined a lot of careers.
You think?
As a photographer, yeah, I really do.
Wow.
You could have killed Kiss. You could have done a lot of things.
I gotta say, I mean, I was out just to have fun, creating my own artwork with my mom's camera, and then it slowly became a thing for me to do all the time, and I just like creating photographs of musicians, and so I would do it, and I just kept going with it until it became my profession. And I'm just trying to compliment everybody. The way I take photographs, I try to make everyone look better than they are, if I can. With the different positions, I photograph them on stage. Sometimes we don't have that much time, so we try to that along and get whatever in a short amount of time. So I'm just trying to make portraits of these people on stage or off stage, and make them the best looking they possibly can be, so that everyone can enjoy their photographs when they read the magazines or books or
Well, Frank, let me
other
say
props
this
that
for
I
the
work
three
with.
guys on the show right now. If it wasn't for people like
that's all.
yourself and Mark Weiss, this show wouldn't exist, because we wouldn't have had those photos that really energized us. From Kiss to Motley Crue to Ted Nugent to everything. They are the photos that made us want to do shit like this today.
Yeah, but to your point, what's the point of negative energy? Like, all that shit's negative energy, destroying people's careers and whatever. Like, give me a break. We're on this planet for a fucking blink, brother.
No,
Like,
but what
make
I'm
it
saying
fucking
is
cool.
the photographers back then could have destroyed. Yeah, look, there were.
But why?
Because there's the TMZ, but then there are the
Well,
people who really
mostly
highlight.
maybe
So not
Well,
about that, bro. So not
there are
about that.
there are different. Okay, so there are paparazzi photographers who capture moments when celebrities or rock stars are in their greatest look. Then there are people
shit
like
ain't
us
that.
when they're all
This is not
dressed
that
up
at
and they're
all.
on stage. Now, I have, of course, done stage stuff and some on-street photography, but I try to capture everyone in a good light, and I don't put out any photos out there people look bad, and that's just not me. I just don't like doing that. I just like to
Not only that,
I
make sure
totally
everyone looks
understand
really
it. Look,
cool.
I've got a lot of photos
Yeah,
where it could hurt somebody's career, and I'll never put that out.
right. Exactly. Because you're a good person.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about this thing. There's people in this book that I don't talk to anymore, but they were integral in the scene, and they will absolutely be given their freaking due. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of my little personal bias, it's not about me. It's about the scene. It's about the world of music and the Jersey thing. And again, we're all dying soon. So, like, let's fucking get this out. The fact that Johnny and Marsha Z are dead, I didn't even see this fucking book, suck shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're a big part of this book. And time ain't fucking extending for anybody. So for me, it's about being real and cool, and why be neg?
Well, I'm going to
No.
throw it back to Jay in a second. And I just got to say, look, the reason the four of us do this show, we love coming on. We're four individuals, different. We come on, have a look. I'm fucking individual, but we come on with no animosity and have a blast. We love music and can't thank people like yourselves for coming on and doing this.
Dude, I thought it was about all the millions you guys make.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I only do that I only make them on Grinder. Oh wait, sorry.
Yeah, Bobby's page is called Shrapnel.
Well, Chip Tooth or Chip Tooth.
Hey,
hey, I'm gonna jump back in here. Angel, do we have any more fan questions currently? Because I want to get Steve back in.
We can get Steve back in.
Steve, let's bring you back in here, the Jedi Jew.
Right on. Okay, so Alan,
yes,
all the projects you've done, do you miss playing out?
I do, but I've been jamming with a lot of friends lately, just doing cover songs and stuff and having fun, because all my time is totally immersed in the book, and the book's coming forth. So I sang the other night. You guys know Neil Young, right?
Yeah.
So we did Cortez the Killer.
Oh, nice.
Dude, right? Such a great song.
Oh.
I knew it, but I never sang it. And then these guys that I know that are really like, they're more hippie guys that are into the Dead and stuff. And they're like, what do you know from Neil Young? And I'm like, let's do Cortez the Killer. And actually, I haven't killed it yet, but I'm going to fucking kill it. I'm going to learn it and get better at it and just have fun with it. So I love playing out. I love singing. Singing is a cathartic experience for me. My dad passed away in September. I was down in Florida settling his estate. And I was like, it's okay. He was 94 and a half, and I appreciate that. He was very old, and it was honestly like a good thing. Honestly, they passed, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's still your dad, though.
It is, and I miss him. He was brutal to me, though, many, many years. Since 1984, when my mom died. So do the math. But I was there for him until the very end. And I went to this fucking karaoke bar I found in Largo, Florida. It's karaoke 7 nights a week.
Yes.
Starting at 4 p.m. And I'm like, that's like 10 minutes from where I am. So I went down there and I just blasted out Cochise by Audio Slave. I did Working for MCA by Skinner. It wasn't like metal, but it was singing. And that's my point. If you sing, if you play guitar, if you do whatever, let it out. Don't constrict that. Like, let it out. I didn't make any money singing fucking karaoke. But it was really cool. When I left that place, I felt really good because it's like this thing. You know what I mean?
Right on. And Frank, have you ever been arrested for shooting?
No. Shooting?
Yeah, like has Frank ever got arrested? Like Mark Weiss got arrested the first time he photographed Kiss.
No, Frank's super freaking in line.
No.
Selling pictures of them in front of Madison Square Garden and everything.
Well,
and
he did it in a way. He just got caught. I never did.
Right on. Okay. Nice.
Oh no.
Okay. And Canon or Nikon?
Frank.
Nikon.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Jay.
I love
better glass.
No, for sure. Now, Angel, I'm going to kick it back to you because I see in the comments actually a pretty cool question from Brian that kind of steers us back to the book. So, Angel, let's kick it back to you and let's kick it to Brian's question.
All right. And then another question from another fan that has a pretty cool question. Brian wants to know, tell us about a Jersey band in the book that we may not have heard of, but should have.
All right, Frank, I'm going to jump on you with this.
What?
This happened today. So I'm a swim official. My son swims. and there's another swim official who's an old school metal guy, and he bought a book from us a few weeks ago, and he called me today. He goes, "You going to the swim meet this week down by Philly?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I need another book." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, and Frank, I didn't even tell you this. He goes, "My cousin is in the book. He's in Sweet Revenge. His name's Giacomo." And I showed him my book, and he was like, "That's me in the book." He's like, "I want one of these books." So he's buying a book for Giacomo to give at Christmas to him. So there are very ambiguous things like that, because this is from the 70s. Like, sadly, a lot of these people aren't alive anymore, but Giacomo still is, and it's freaking awesome. So he's getting a book at Christmas.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's all.
My 2 cents.
Go ahead, Angel. Still roll with the book.
What lens do you like to shoot with the most when it comes?
Well, I have like several, but I guess I like 24 to 70 is a good lens.
Yep.
Sometimes I like to use my fisheye. I have like a 70 to 200, which is really good.
Yep.
So, it depends on where we are. Photographic show. They'll put you in the front. Sometimes they'll put you in the back. So to what you have, and hope
It's what I always say.
you have the right lens for the show that you're photographing out that day.
The lens always depends on if you're in
Yeah.
the front or in the back. I just.
My son wants to get in on this. He's getting his Jersey Metal shirt. I don't know how much time we have left.
We have time.
All right. Where does Steve go?
He's Jewish. He pops in and out.
I love it. I love it. Good boy. Good boy.
He was brushing his hair.
Of course. As I would be as well.
Tell
Absolutely.
them, Al.
Well, you
the
got
less
that
we
quaff
have,
going.
the more head we get.
That's right. Do you razor that, or is it just a buzzer?
Both.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
The
I'm
razor
sponsored
takes
by a
balls,
company
bro.
called Freebird, and they give me an electric razor, but then I go to I live in East Orange now, so I go to a Dominican barber to trim up the beard, because I'm afraid to go underneath the neck because I don't want to cut myself.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you're better off doing it as a professional, Steve. You don't want to cut yourself, then you bleed
Yeah.
to death.
Oh, great. Then you're playing
Oh,
on
until
the
you
Christian.
figure out the stroke. You got to figure out the stroke. When you
Right.
figure out the stroke, you're good. But until then, yes, you bleed like a freaking pig.
no kidding.
Sure. All right,
Yeah,
Nick,
but
wanna say hi?
as men, we tend to get hold of our strokes more quicker than most.
Ah,
My son wants to say hello
Yeah.
with his Jersey Metal shirt on.
What's up, son?
Nick Tecchio.
Hey. Oh,
Hey.
That's an awesome
is
shirt.
he allowed to come on here? Are we allowed to talk about chipped teeth with your son?
Yes, absolutely, brother. I have educated this kid. So good.
Shit.
Hey, do you know who chipped somebody's tooth?
It's Rob Halford. He knows the whole Rob Halford story.
Not
he knows
that
the whole
part.
thing.
No, no.
100%.
Jesus Christ.
Boy.
Love you, dude. Love you too. That's awesome. He was
Corrupting.
like, "Really? That happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, that happened." And I'm
wanna see my
flattered
chipped
it
tooth?
happened, honestly.
You want to see my chipped tooth? No, wait, no, I'm sorry.
No.
Don't miss your appointments with the dentist, kids.
I know, exactly.
So what if I talk like Michael Spinks?
It was so worth it.
Seriously. But We're gonna kick it back over to Bobby in just a second. But it is last call for alcohol fans. Final questions and comments. If you want to get them in for both Alan and Frank, this is the time that you want to do it. So it is last call for alcohol, guys, because we want to be able to give them a little bit of time in their evenings as well. But we still have a little bit of time to go with them. So, Alan, I want to talk to you real quick about what your most favorite. So here's the thing. So we had a really unique interview last week that involved some really funny road stories about going over the border and what trials and tribulations can come from such a thing. What were some of your more unique experiences on the road?
Wow.
This is a family show.
I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of. I know it's not a family show. I was. Michael Greer is saying, and I didn't even see the comments section until right now. So I'm gonna answer that. And he said, "You've started the process over. What country would you start and why?" I don't know. I was born American. Like, I don't know if I would have a choice, but probably Germany, because Germans are just like ridiculous metalheads. And is there at least one obscure jersey that stands out to you? I don't know what that means. And repeat your question.
Oh, I was just curious. Do you have any unique stories from the road or funny situations?
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I remember one time I almost killed us all in a bus with Hades in Philly. I pulled out in front of a freaking light and I almost got crushed. We had a school bus that we traveled in, almost got destroyed, but I hit the brakes in time. Another thing might be that same drive home where my guitar player, and there were only 3 of us that could drive this school bus because it was a stick. So it was me and Johnny Booge from Monkey Pup and Tommy Coombs, our drummer. So the 3 of us were the only ones who could drive like intense amount of hours. I mean, we went to Detroit and Chicago and stuff. It was like not around the corner stuff. And I remember coming home and I just want to get home. I'm still gonna go to Ed Furman's house, the guitar player, and drop the gear off and drive the freaking bus back to my house. And I'm losing my mind because I'm so out of it from driving for so long. And we go through a toll booth on the Garden State Parkway, and I like go through the toll, pay it, and my guitar player is yelling at me like, we're a bus, we're gonna pay the toll, don't pay the toll. And I'm like, we have to pay the toll. So I pay the toll, I clear the toll, and I literally get out of the driver's seat and let the bus just go down the road. And I walk back into the back of the bus like, you drive the fucking bus, brother. You don't know how to drive it, but good luck busting my balls strutting through the fucking toll. And thankfully, I got some sanity and I jumped back in that seat and drove it home and we got all good. So it's one weird story, but there's probably many I can't remember right now, but that's one.
Oh, sure. Dude, my buddy Arturo would love that story because he's a huge Monkey Pup guy.
Okay, yeah.
Would you say monkeypox? What?
Monkey Pup.
Oh, I thought you said monkeypox. I was like, who's got monkeypox?
No,
No,
Monkey Pup.
those guys were like, those were our roadies, and our guitar player Dan Lorenzo got them their deal. He
I
got
was
them
like
their
waiting
deal.
there. I was like,
with our record
damn,
label.
you guys are like all in, chip tooth monkeypox. I'm like,
Way ahead of the curve on the monkeypox. Way ahead of the curve.
That was a great band from Jersey.
That's gonna be, look, if they could call Anthrax, we got to do a monkeypox band.
That's born
That
doggy
would be
dog.
like the gay version of Anthrax. Think about it.
You don't got to delineate it by being gay. We're all together.
I would love a transgender band called Monkeypox doing Anthrax tunes.
It's probably happening as we speak.
I'm gonna call Scotty Ian.
Good luck with that. Of that band, like there were a lot of great stuff. That time was very electric and very exciting. It was so cool.
Dude, that's too funny. Yeah, no, I'm here. Dude, that's too good.
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm just thinking about the Godfather movie where he's holding the cat and just petting him.
Oh, yeah, exactly. She knows. She knows that she's like in the boss in some ways. Motley's taking a break from this episode, so Nix was like, "Fuck y'all, I'll get involved." It's kind of like Dr. Claw from Inspector
Yes.
Gadget.
Yeah.
Or what was it on
Gadget.
Mr. Binky?
Yeah.
Dude, Frank, you can't see any of these threads, right? Because people are asking you about all kinds of shit. Is that on your phone?
Maybe not.
Yeah,
That's
there's
all
people
good.
asking, like, what's the most interesting picture you captured of a band on stage? Is there one band you've been given all access to on the road? Like, they're hammering you with questions.
You want
I
to know
gotta
what
set
hair
up
product
the
you use?
laptop next time.
That
No
happens-
one's
that
asking
happens
about
a
hair
lot.
products. Steve, stop.
That happens a lot when the last call gets thrown out.
That's what
Everybody-
happens. It's yeah, gotcha.
When last call
Steve, put your
happens,
head up a
people hit the
little
bar.
bit. You know, you're starting to look like Where's Waldo?
It's where
Me?
pepperoni.
No, Steve, I only see him from the nose up. I need the hands like this. Don't
Psycho
do that.
Steve, bro. Psycho
Don't
Steve.
do that. It's been 3 days, and you know
We know you're
I
dentist,
don't
Steve.
do that. I'm just saying.
All right, favorite band that came out of New Jersey besides your own, Frank and Al.
Yeah,
Frank? Frank?
Favorite
Frank.
band that came out of New Jersey, metal wise, Overkill.
Yes,
Yes.
excellent choice. Al.
Overkill.
I'm gonna say Monster Magnet.
Wow.
Just saying.
Okay.
I love Overkill. They took us on the road, Europe and America. So I have a personal connection to Overkill. They're
Right.
But I'm Monster Magnet. They had a different kind of thing going on, and they were super heavy. That Sabbath thing, that whole fucking wetland shit they used to do back in the day, like
Right.
they
Who was
kind
the
of broke
little
some molds. man.
guitar player who played in Dead End Kids? The Munchkin.
What?
Dead End Kids, remember the
Yeah,
band?
yeah. They're in the book. What about them?
The little Munchkin who played
they're
in
in
the
the book.
band.
I don't remember that guy.
Oh, short little guy played in Dead End Kids. He was, you know,
Dude, how old are you? You can't be older than me, and I'm too
I'm
young.
58.
I'm 56. Well, maybe 2 years might make a difference.
Look,
I didn't know them back then.
Yeah, Dizzy Dean, when all those guys were playing the Galaxy and Freddie Baker's gigs and all those, I was playing back then.
I love it.
It was Dan Spitz.
That's
Danny
it. Yeah, he
Spitz.
had a long neck and a little body.
No fucking
You
way
look
was
like a
Danny
fucking
Spitz in the
giraffe.
Dead End Kids.
Oh, I know. You just said a little guy. I was fucking with.
And it's funny, Steve knew who I was talking about.
But it's not him.
I know.
It's not him though.
Danny Spitz is little, though. He's little.
It's
And I
Russell
love it.
Arcara. It's Russell Arcara before he learned how to sing. I'm
He
kidding.
was
You're
was
messed up.
Anthrax.
No, he knows. They know. They're just fucking.
I love when Reggie Wu couldn't speak that much English and he was flipping his guitar around.
Oh my god!
And he
Russell
even told me, he
Arcara.
goes, "Oh
Heaven's
my God,
Edge.
I was so Chinese back then." And I just laughed my ass off.
Killer.
But you think of all the fucked up shit we did back then. Look. All right, Frank, I got to ask you. Best exit you got out of a DUI?
He doesn't drink. He doesn't drink.
We
I'm
all
the
drank back then.
He might have had a couple beers back
I
then.
never got a DUI.
Coming out of Great Adventure, seeing Ted Nugent at the Great Arena pulling out off of exit
Pulling
16.
Sounds personal.
And
I went to look for my
right there,
sister.
and the guy,
He was dead straight. He was worried about his sister that night. It's in the book.
really?
Terrified. Yeah, he was like, "Where the
Yeah.
fuck is my sister?" And his sister was
She
Betty
ended up
White.
being at the hotel with the bands,
And to
miles
Betty
away
White,
from
his,
the Great Adventure.
and I'm just gonna say, Betty White, his sister, smoking hot, like stupid
Your
hot.
sister was Betty White?
Yeah, no, not the Betty White, but Betty White. And
Not
believe me,
Betty
bro,
White.
Even though you might not go that way, you would go that way with Betty White.
I'm so into Golden Girls. Look.
Dude.
Well, you've seen Tony. I got one of the Golden Girls.
Yeah, but no, back then you would have been down with Betty White. She was smoking hot.
Well,
I love when I can make Jay smile.
well, when Betty White's laid out on the table, I think everybody's into Betty White.
Yes. That's China White.
Betty White was so
That's
awesome.
another
Oh,
band that
God.
came out.
Which
Who?
one?
China White.
China White?
China White.
Is it
Was it
China
great?
or China?
Great.
Steve, is it
Great.
China
Both.
or China?
Both.
China
No, it was
White.
China.
Great Scorpions.
Oh.
Vagina
Yeah,
White. I don't
absolutely.
Oh my God!
You don't
Look, we
remember
took
Josh
you guys
Stevens?
down the wrong rabbit hole tonight.
know. Wait, what?
True story.
I
What
said
about a
we
whole?
took you guys down the wrong rabbit hole tonight. Look, before all this bullshit, it's all about your book. Frank, thank you so much for your photography and everything. And, like I said, I ordered the book tonight, but we really didn't get to indulge in, they just did the thing for Ronnie and your book about Ronnie James Dio. So I really want to throw that out before we close the night out there too. I mean, your hard work and effort that you did there.
Thank
I mean, what an amazing talent. And gosh, the photos you have in there, thank you.
Welcome. Long time photographing him. He was great. And I'm sad to see more, but I'm glad I was able to put a book out about him. Because I know a lot of fans love that.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie lived under the shadow, and we all know it, under Ozzy and everything. That whole period there that came out with Mob Rules and everything else. But Ronnie was an entity in himself. I mean, but what an individual. I mean, there. And, thank you so much for putting that out. I mean, God, I hope people go back and look at that. And your book there, look, we'll post the links to all your books. But this is...
Yeah, it's still available.
Yeah. How did that all come about?
With Ronnie James, after he passed, this was like, a bunch of years later, I was going through my collection on him, and it was for a magazine, and I realized I had photos that date all the way back to his first U.S. show. And
Wow.
I was able to photograph his last U.S. show. And I had so much of that in between that I thought it would be good to put a book out on him. So I reached out to Weimar in England because I saw some of their previous books and I thought it would be a good fit. So I contacted them, and after they took a look at what I had, they said, "We have a book here." And they asked me if I could write all about my experiences photographing Ronnie and the bands that he was in. And I said, sure. So I just went ahead and started writing. And soon enough, we had a book out on him.
Is that real?
And then it was first a hardcover that came with a few 8x10s in a box set. And then it was a software. Unfortunately, though, Weimar decided to change the cover title and the cover image of the book. And so Alan came in and he helped me do a press release about the change on the cover. And we were able to straighten things out a little bit. And the book kept selling, and it still sells to this day. But right now my focus is on the Jersey Metal book.
Well, it's great. I just wanted to bring it up because, look, you're an amazing photographer. And, I just wanted people to, look at your whole work and, look, nothing about the new book. It's great. I love that you're pushing the whole Jersey thing, but with Ronnie's passing and them doing the whole thing, years ago, and Rock and Bull and everything. I just want people to know that there's other works that you have done out there.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
100% for sure. Let's kick it over to Steve, and then we'll close out with Angel and any fan questions. Steve, it's all you, guy.
Okay. Last question. Let's give it a good Jersey push. Where could you guys be found? Website for both of you. How can people reach you besides the book? Anything else coming up in the horizon besides this book? Is there a part 2, part 3? Because you just covered just the basically the minimal surface.
No, for sure. JerseyMetalBook.com, JerseyMetalBook.com, JerseyMetalBook.com. And we're going to be on...
it's also Facebook.
And we have a Facebook page, but we're also... Drew Stone's going to do something on us for New York Hardcore Chronicles, which are not even hardcore, but Drew Stone's a fan of Frank's and a great dude. So we're doing that. And we're just going to be pushing as much as possible. Today's the first day the book really comes out.
Wow,
legit.
great.
So, we're just out there, and JerseyMetalBook.com is the place to get it. You can get shirts there and the book and the whole 9.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for this freaking
and we're
promo.
working on volume 2.
Yeah, there's 3 books. There's 3 books in total. This one's
very cool.
Yeah, this one's 69 to 86. 87 to 2004, and then 05 to whenever.
Jersey Metal.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
21.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And I got my copy, so I'll be pushing it out there. Look, you guys can get yours, which is great. And love this.
No, I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I love the Wally World shirt. Love it.
Look, it's all about having fun. The 4 of us do this show every week. Angel, what episode are we up to?
151.
Yes.
And we kicked ass in all of them.
Yeah, sure. So we're having a blast. And thank you guys. Look, we're very big supporters of this. Look, we talked about Jersey Metal, and I brought up earlier Heaven's Edge. What a great announcement. Reggie, Mark, and those guys got a contract with Frontier Music, 2-album deal, new music coming out, Heaven's Edge. I love that fact.
Awesome.
Good friends with, Mike LeCompte. I talk to Mike all the time. So, the Jersey vibe is still here.
Oh, yeah. All day long, kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Judge got signed today. 9 years.
I know. I saw that.
$350 million.
It's insane.
Go Yankees.
Yes. Go Judge. Go Judge.
Exactly. All right.
I thought he signed with the Yankees. I thought he signed with like the Giants.
Nope. he was going to sign with them, but then
Gents.
they came out and pulled him away and took him back.
Yep.
Gotcha.
They keep pulling him back in.
Yes. Now
Angel, let's kick it up to you, man, for any final questions.
Okay, let's go from ESPN to fan questions. Frank, is there any one band that you've been giving all access to?
Over the course of time, yeah, there was definitely some bands, from New Jersey or elsewhere. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't
like
matter.
in the book, one of the bands that get a lot of access was Sabotage from Florida. I've known those guys since 1984. They're always really cool with me. They went to Florida to draft them, and they came back up here, and I was like their photographer while they were in New Jersey for a little while, and went to Seton Hall Radio, and we went up to Boston, did a show, and they came back and did some Jersey shows, and we ended up putting them in the book because they gave us a lot of access, and we also went to the go-go bars after we were done rocking out at the clubs. So that's pretty good access, I think. And there were other bands I worked with, like the Missile. They gave me a lot of access. Nuclear Assault, they were in the book.
Yeah.
Anvil
Bitch.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Back in the day, I was working with.
Oh, very cool.
They gave me a lot of access. I went on tour with them.
Somebody
went on
said
tour
more
with Real Y&T and White Lion.
Wow.
Morbid Cross is being voted for the next headliner of the Big Four. And I love Morbid Cross, and I love that comment. I think it's awesome, Brian.
That's a new band that we have going in our third book.
Oh, cool. Angel?
One book at a time.
Yep.
The next question is, damn it, I was right on the question. The most interesting pick that you captured on stage.
What was that?
Angel, say that question again.
The most interesting picture that you've captured of a band on stage.
I would have to say when Richie Blackmore was destroying his guitar when he was with Rainbow at the Garden in the early 80s. I actually had a front row ticket, and the photo's in the book. I was photographing the show at the Garden in New York, and he took his guitar and started to throw it in the air and slam it on the ground. The next thing you know, he takes the guitar and pushes it right through a Marshall stack, and it goes on fire. And I've never seen that happen before up to that point. And that photo has sold at least over 30 times, from a cover photo to a poster. It's in the book, and it keeps selling to this day. So that's pretty much one of my biggest photos that I've ever shot. And it was spur of the moment. And I never thought I would ever see something like that happen, but it did. And I'm glad I was right in the front row to photograph it.
And any great L.A. Moore stories?
Oh, Lamore.
Lamore story.
Sorry about that.
What stories?
Lamore.
Any stories from Lamore's?
Well, if we were putting a book out on Lamore, I would talk to you about that, but I'd rather talk about Jersey Metal, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
So, Frank, your favorite club in Jersey, what was it to shoot at? From dive bar all the way up. Doesn't need to be.
I would say my favorite club in New Jersey, probably back in the day, was Circus, because it was the closest. Number one, I was able to photograph all kinds of bands that were playing in arenas, and then they started playing in the club in my town. I captured, some good images there. A few other ones were like the Soap Factory was a really good one. Birch Hill, another good club for me to photograph in back in the day. And now, of course, Starland is another good one. Down Casino was another one. That was a really good club to photograph shows in.
Which one?
So
Latin?
The Fountain Casino.
Oh, I thought you meant the Latin. Remember the old Latin Casino, which was, and then it turned into a gay bar, which was Gatsby's. I don't know why I know that.
I love that.
But Latin Casino was where Village People started out and everything, and then it went to Gatsby's. And look, Tom Jones played there.
Aerosmith played there.
Love
they
Tom
opened
Jones.
the club and they closed the club.
Wow.
That's right.
And then you had City Gardens in Jersey, in Trenton.
Yep.
Which
was
was
that's in the book, and I was there several times over the years. Sure.
Oh my
It was a
God!
pretty wild
I lived
place.
right in. I grew up in Levittown. I got the shit kicked out of me there. I don't know how I made it
You
back.
must have been
over
in the
bridge.
audience.
That was I was there from the Ramones to the Talking Heads to everybody who played in
Nice.
that. The Cars played there. You name it. It was our version of CBGB's.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and it was a pretty rough neighborhood, you know. And the club itself was, was.
You had a punk club
you know, they
in
had
a
a lot
black
of
neighborhood, and it wasn't just black. It was black. I mean, you came out. You didn't leave shit on your front seat. But you went there,
Yeah,
and
there's
it
been
was.
other clubs, you know, in neighborhoods that weren't too great. So,
But
was,
you know,
but
what a great time of life we had. You know, of the shit with back then. It was like you went for the music. You didn't give a shit. You really didn't, and you took your life in your hands with half the shit we did.
And a lot of what I did is reflected in the book. You know, along with Alan's experiences. So I hope everyone goes out and
we're going to be pimping your book
either online or.
I am going to be. You could beat me like Huggy Dog or whatever his name was on.
Thank you, brother.
Go out
Thank
there
you.
and sell my book.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. That's awesome.
Absolutely, for sure. Angel, we got time for one more question?
Yep. You're in a hot tub time machine. Where are you going?
Frank.
Lisa, are we wearing ties?
You're in a hot tub time machine. Where are you going, Frank? I am going to 1986.
So what would?
It's a good year.
Yeah, I want to start back there, knowing what I know now. But I got to know what I know now. Otherwise, I'm not going back there. Frank?
Thank you.
But
hot tub time machine. Where would you go? Anytime you want to go to. Where would you go?
Hot tub time? Where would I want to go back to?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think probably the 70s.
Yeah,
I had
what period of the
really,
70s?
really good time back.
So we're going way back. I love it.
I would say, mid to late would be for me.
Hey, Frank, did you ever get to shoot Alice?
Many times.
Alice Cooper? Yeah. He's I photographed him in 75, and then I photographed him in 1980, 81, and then when he came back out in the mid 80s, and then I photographed him all the way up until like a couple years ago when Anita Strauss was in the band.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean that would be an amazing book for you to do. I mean, just Alice through the years. I mean,
it's in the book. It's in the book.
I know, but I'm just saying, an Alice book, just how incredible it is from the East Coast standpoint of his, the impact.
I mean, I do have enough photos, but I would like to have older.
Oh, we just jammed us up.
Sorry about that. Yeah, what were you saying, Frank?
So, I started photographing him in 75. So I missed the Alice Cooper group, with the original lineup. And so I would have liked to have been able to photograph them earlier on in the early 70s, but the way everything worked out is when I started shooting them in 75. So, I mean, I could put out something, but I would rather have those first few years of my own photographs. I mean, I do have other photographers' photos that I sell for them as part of my photo agency called Frank White Photo Agency. So it's a possibility, but as of this moment, I have 2 other books to worry about, and then possibly my own photography book, which would span 50 years of all the years that I photographed music. So those are the next few books that I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, but the reset that we're doing now of this book has a lot of the Alice Cooper group photos in there. There's stuff added
from
to
1970.
Yeah. So Alice Cooper Group is going to be in there in the rework that we have to do because of the Aquarian
One
stuff.
of the photographers I sell photos for.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we go back to Jay, I really got to say this. Hearing Frank talk like this, dude, you're blowing my fucking mind because you look 10 years younger than me. I'm hearing you going 50 years. I'm going, I don't know what you do to, look like you're in your late 30s, early 40s, but keep fucking doing it.
Thank
dude.
you. Oh, I'm 60. Thank you. Appreciate
But
that, man.
I'm
You
really
know,
blown away, and I'm just like sitting here going, "Damn! All right, keep going."
Are you hitting on Frank right now?
Well, no, what he won't I do.
Frank does look good, but you look great, dude. 58? You don't look 58. Look, let's just stop
I have my skateboards here. I still skateboard.
Yeah, look fine, bro. You look great.
I tried, but hey, it's all about rock and roll. But Frank, thank you guys, and Alan, thank you guys for your knowledge and everything, and coming on with us and putting up with our shenanigans. But we love having a great time, and it's all about fun. And again, I'm gonna throw it back to Jay, but let's really push this book. And
absolutely,
thank you.
We'll definitely do that.
Steve.
He's Jewish. He leaves.
Thank you.
It's like that. Oh, the gefilte fish is
an Irish goodbye, not a Jewish goodbye.
Angel, before we wrap it up, bud, is the board clear? Or is there any questions we want to cover real quick?
Yep, it's all good. It's back to you.
We're all good. No worries. Well, yes, absolutely. Frank, Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. We really appreciate you guys spending some of your evening with us. And we'd love to have you guys back on when the next editions of the book, part 2, part 3, hopefully, and continue on. You guys are always welcome here if you ever have something you want to talk about.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
That's great.
Love you guys.
Absolutely. 100%.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever, Kwanzaa.
We do everything, bro. My wife's Jewish. We do Hanukkah. We do the whole
we have
nine.
Steve. We have our Jew.
We're all about
it. Well, Metal Summoners, don't forget, as of today, Jersey Metal is out to be ordered. So make sure that
JerseyMetalBook.com, JerseyMetalBook.com. Thank you, guys.
JerseyMetalBook.com. And make sure you guys are getting out there and supporting it. All these years of photography, you got T-shirts, you've got books. It's definitely worth the read and worth the checking out. So Metal Summoners, get out there and definitely support these guys so we can get their next book out there that much faster for us all to enjoy. So again, on behalf of Alan and Frank joining us tonight on the Metal Summit, and on behalf of the Metal Summit themselves, Bobby Dreyer, Angel Alamo, Psycho Steve, and myself. Make sure you're hitting up everybody on their socials, jerseymetalbook.com, bobbydreyer.com, Angel Alamo on Instagram and Facebook, Psycho Steve at The Real Psycho Steve, and myself at Just a R&R Junkie on Instagram. We appreciate you guys so much. Guest announcement on Friday. Next week's going to be a good one. Thank you to Alan. Thank you to Frank. We love you guys. Appreciate you so much. Metal Summoners, we love you guys. We'll see you guys in a week. And have yourselves a great weekend. Take good care of each other. And have yourselves a wonderful holidays. We'll see you guys in a week. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.
Yeah.